Mingoose Mouse lived in a little cozy house in the forest near the mountain by the sea, and everyone knew the rule. Mingoose Mouse lives in a house, and with Mingoose Mouse, we always go steady. One bright morning, Mingoose opened her round little door and found Puff Chicken standing on the path, wearing her sparkly scarf and looking very important. "Today," said Puff Chicken, "I am feeling glamorous, brave, and only a little bit likely to puff." Behind her came Semolina Pilchard, golden and cheerful as ever, wearing his little fez and his black sunglasses, carrying a basket of jam sandwiches, crumbly biscuits, and one mysterious parcel wrapped in blue paper. "Good morning, my excellent friends," said Semolina. "I have brought snacks because all proper adventures require snacks, and sometimes 2 snacks, depending on the size of the adventure." Just then, from the old blue tree at the edge of the forest, came a soft shimmer. Its silver blue leaves rustled even though there was no wind, and the round glowing portal in its trunk flickered like moonlight on water. Sitting beside it in his deck chair, as calm as a Sunday teapot, was Hugh Lindwood, holding a mug of tea. "Portal's awake today," said Hugh, not moving very much at all. "That usually means someone's about to learn something." Mingoose looked up at the glowing tree. Puff Chicken's feathers trembled with excitement. Semolina Pilchard lifted his sunglasses and peered very carefully. "Oh," he said, "I do hope it is not another world full of bendy spoons. I still haven't recovered." But before anyone could step closer, a scratchy voice came from above. "Well, well, well, look what we have here. A mouse, a chicken, a pilchard, and a man in a chair. What a mighty team! Shall I clap or shall I fall asleep first?" Everyone looked up. On a crooked branch above the blue portal tree sat a thin, tatty black bird with sharp feathers, beady eyes, and a face like a thundercloud with a beak. His claws gripped the branch, his head tilted, his eyes glittered. "Who are you?" asked Puff Chicken, already puffing slightly around the edges. The bird ruffled himself and gave a tiny bow that did not look friendly at all. "I am Snark Claw," he said. "I sit in trees, I see everything, and I say what everyone else is too polite to say." Semolina Pilchard blinked. "Do you also say nice things?" Snark Claw stared at him. "Only by accident." Puff Chicken gasped so hard that one feather popped upright. "That is rude." "Correct," said Snark Claw. "At least one of you is paying attention." Mingoose Mouse stepped forward, small but steady. "Good morning, Snark Claw. You may sit in the tree, but you may not peck holes in everyone's happy." Snark Claw clicked his beak. "Happy? Is that what this is? I thought it was a biscuit meeting with legs." Hugh Lindwood took a slow sip of tea. "That bird's got a sharp tongue," he said. "But sharp things are sometimes covering soft places." Snark Claw puffed up. "I heard that, chairman." "Good," said Hugh. "Saved me repeating it." The portal tree shimmered brighter, and suddenly the blue paper parcel in Semolina's basket began to glow. Semolina nearly dropped it. "Oh, crumbs and custard," he said. "My parcel is humming." Mingoose carefully unwrapped it, and inside was a little blue bell shaped like a raindrop. As soon as she touched it, the portal opened wider, showing a magical garden on the other side, filled with floating lantern flowers and twisting paths made of pale stones. From inside the portal came a tiny voice calling, "Help! Help! The lantern flowers have gone out." Puff Chicken stepped forward. "We must help them. I am brave." Then she looked at Snark Claw. "And you are not invited if you are going to be horrid." Snark Claw rolled his eyes. "Oh no. How will I survive not joining the biscuit parade?" But as Mingoose, Puff Chicken, Semolina Pilchard, and Hugh Lindwood moved toward the portal, Snark Claw leaned down from his branch and muttered, "That garden has shadow brambles. You'll get tangled before tea." Mingoose stopped. "How do you know?" Snark Claw looked away. "Because I know things." "Then you can come and help," said Mingoose. "No," said Snark Claw at once. "I do not help. I observe. I criticize. I make excellent points from above." "You can do all that while helping," said Hugh calmly, folding up his deck chair and tucking his tea safely into a flask. "Come on." Snark Claw looked horrified. "I have not agreed to this." But the portal gave a whoosh, the blue leaves spun, and with one great shimmer, everyone tumbled through into the lantern garden, including Snark Claw, who landed on a stone statue and shouted, "I was pushed by magic!" The garden was beautiful, but strangely dim. Tall flowers drooped like sleepy lamps, their petals dull and gray. Little firefly seeds bobbed sadly in the air. In the distance, a knot of black brambles curled around a golden watering can, and without it, the lantern flowers could not shine. "We need that watering can," said Mingoose. "Easy," said Puff Chicken. She strutted forward, then the brambles twitched. "Less easy," she whispered, and puffed into a round ball of feathers with eyes and feet. Semolina Pilchard patted her gently. "Do not worry, Puff Chicken. You are still glamorous in emergency shape." Snark Claw snorted from a branch. "She looks like a pom-pom with opinions." Puff Chicken's eyes widened. "I heard that." "You were meant to," said Snark Claw. Mingoose gave him a look. Not an angry look. Worse, a steady look. "Snark Claw," she said. "Words can be claws. Use them to cut the brambles, not your friends." Snark Claw went quiet. The brambles rustled and stretched toward them. Hugh Lindwood stepped forward with his walking stick and tapped the ground. "Steady now. Nobody panic." The brambles hissed, and Semolina Pilchard lifted his sunglasses. "I have an idea. Perhaps snacks will help." He tossed a biscuit toward the brambles. The brambles wrapped around it and squeezed it into crumbs. "Right," said Semolina. "Not snack-friendly." The little voice called again from behind the flowers. "The brambles grow and everyone argues." Mingoose understood at once. "Then, we must stop feeding them." She turned to the group. "No snapping, no teasing, no flapping. We go steady." Puff Chicken took a deep breath and slowly unpuffed until she was chicken-shaped again. Semolina held the basket carefully. Hugh nodded, but Snark Claw looked uncomfortable, as if someone had asked him to sing in a choir. "What am I supposed to do?" he muttered. "You see things from above," said Mingoose. "So guide us." Snark Claw blinked. No one had ever asked him to guide before. Usually they told him to stop talking. He hopped higher into the branches and stared down at the bramble maze. "Left path is a trick," he said. "The stones are loose. Right path has mud that smells like old cabbage. Middle path looks worst, so it is probably best." "Thank you," said Mingoose. Snark Claw's beak opened, then closed. "Do not get used to it." They followed the middle path. Every time a bramble curled near them, Mingoose rang the little blue bell, and the sound was clear and calm. Ding. The bramble paused. Ding. It loosened. Ding. A tiny lantern flower flickered back to life. But near the golden watering can, the brambles grew thick and thorny, blocking the way completely. "We can't get through," said Puff Chicken. Snark Claw landed on a low branch above them, his black feathers bristling. "There is a gap at the top," he said. "Too small for you lot. Not too small for me." He looked at the golden can. He looked at the brambles. He looked at Mingoose. "If I get pecked by a plant, I am blaming all of you." Then, before anyone could answer, Snark Claw launched himself into the air. He twisted through the thorny gap, wings tight, claws sharp. The brambles snapped and curled, trying to catch his tail feathers. "Oi!" he shouted. "These feathers are naturally untidy, not for grabbing." He reached the watering can, hooked the handle with his claws, and flapped hard. The can was heavier than it looked. A little help from the biscuit parade would not be unwelcome. He croaked. Hugh Lindwood lifted his stick, Semolina tossed the blue bell's ribbon, Puff Chicken held the end in her beak, and Mingoose pulled with all her tiny mouse strength. Together they tugged. Snark Claw flapped, the brambles hissed. The bell rang wildly. Ding, 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 ding. Then, with a pop like a bubble bursting, the golden watering can came free, and the brambles shrank back into the ground. Warm golden rain sprinkled from the can all by itself, falling over the lantern flowers. One by one they lit up in pink, blue, gold, and green, until the whole garden glowed brighter than a birthday cake in a fairy palace. The tiny voice belonged to a little lantern beetle, who bowed to them from a flower stem. "Thank you," she said. "The garden shines again." Puff Chicken twirled. Semolina Pilchard handed out jam sandwiches. Hugh Lindwood unfolded his deck chair and sat down as if appearing in glowing magical gardens was a normal part of his afternoon. Snark Claw perched above them, pretending not to look pleased. Mingoose climbed onto a stone and said, "Snark Claw, you helped us." "I noticed," said Snark Claw. "Very inconvenient." "You were brave," said Puff Chicken, "and only a little bit rude." "That may be the nicest review I have ever received," said Snark Claw. Semolina offered him a biscuit. Snark Claw stared at it. "Is this a trap?" "No," said Semolina. "It is a biscuit." Snark Claw took it in his beak, hopped once, then muttered, "Acceptable." The portal began to glow again, calling them home. They stepped back through the blue tree portal and returned to the forest near the mountain by the sea. The old blue tree shimmered softly behind them. Hugh Lindwood sat back in his usual place with his tea. Puff Chicken smoothed her scarf. Semolina Pilchard checked that no biscuits had been lost to brambles. Snark Claw flew back to his crooked branch and looked down at them all. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Mingoose smiled. "You may sit in our tree, Snark Claw, but remember the rule." Snark Claw narrowed his eyes. "What rule?" Mingoose lifted her little paw. "With Mingoose Mouse, we always go steady." Snark Claw clicked his beak, then looked away into the glowing leaves. "Fine," he said. "I will go steady, but I reserve the right to make comments." "Kind comments?" asked Puff Chicken. "Useful comments," said Snark Claw. "Let us not become ridiculous." Hugh Lindwood chuckled into his tea. Semolina Pilchard raised a biscuit. Puff Chicken gave a proud little cluck. And Mingoose Mouse looked up at the tatty black bird in the blue tree and knew something important. Sometimes the sharpest creature in the forest is not there to ruin the story. Sometimes he is there to warn you where the brambles are. And from that day on, whenever the portal shimmered and the forest grew strange, Snark Claw sat above them with his beady eyes watching, his feathers ruffled, his voice scratchy, and his heart just a tiny bit softer than he wanted anyone to know.